Alrighty, let's go ahead and get started this afternoon. First off, I'd like to welcome everybody to today's Water Quality Advisory Work Group. Looks like the weather has held back some attendance here, but I appreciate y'all showing up and spending some time with us this afternoon, including those watching over the webcast. As is customary, what we'll start off doing is going through introductions. So if you can state your name, who you represent, give us a good idea who's in attendance here today. I'll start off. I'm Chris Linendahl, Wastewater Permitting Section Manager here at TCEQ.
Laurie Fleet, Wastewater Permitting.
Brian Strand, I'm the Biosolids Coordinator of the Water Quality Division.
Hanne Nielsen, Stormwater Team.
Rebecca Villalba, Team Leader for the Stormwater Team.
Lily Martinez, Stormwater Team.
C.W. Schneider, Land Application Team.
I'm Lindsay Garza with the Stormwater Team.
Helen Gilbert with Gilbert Wilburn.
Ryan Dorth with Quarks Utilities.
Susan Meckel, Lower Colorado River Authority Water Quality Protection.
Zachary King, Program Support.
Ann Ruthstrom, Program Support, TCQ.
Marty Kelly, Parks and Wildlife Water Resources.
Eric Birch, Birch, Becker, and Mormon.
Dave Sorrells, Power Engineering.
Betty Moore, Power Engineering.
All righty, thank y'all. We're just going to jump right into the agenda. The first update going to be provided by Lori Fleet as an update on our Harris County on-site wastewater general permit.
We are proposing to renew the Harris County General Permit number TXG 530000. It authorizes discharge of wastewater from on-site treatment systems connected to single-family residences in Harris County. The current permit expires January 30th of 2019, and the draft permit was published for public comment. The public comment period ended on October 1st, and the Commission is expected to take action on January 16th. And that would be for reissuance. And just moving right along to the next one, we're also proposing to renew the livestock manure compost general permit, which is WQG 200,000. It authorizes disposal of wastewater generated from livestock manure compost operations by either evaporation or irrigation. And that permit expires November 10th of 2018. Public comment period ended on it on July 9th, and the Commission is expected to take action on that permit October 31st. And the next one is the Petroleum Contaminated Water General Permit TXG 830000. That one was issued by the Commission on September 5th, and any permittees who are currently authorized under that permit have until November 11th to submit their renewal application. And just a little bit on that particular permit, during that renewal process, we added a new universe to that permit, which is petroleum storage tank folks who have to do sump testing and my mind went blank. There's sump testing and spill buckets, yes. If they have to do testing, hydrostatic testing, they are now included under that general permit as an authorized discharger for wastewater contaminated with petroleum product. So they can now apply for coverage under that permit prior to discharging. Are there any questions on those general permits before we turn it over to the next presenter? Okay.
All right, seeing no questions, C.W. Schneider going to give us an update on the CAFO general permit.
Okay, the Concentrated Animal Feeding Operation CAFO General Permit TXG 920000. We're proposing to renew that. It's set to expire in July of 2019. We sent the draft to EPA this morning. They have 90 days to respond, so we should hear back from them before January 16th, and in which case we'll public notice it and then try to have it issued by this summer. Any questions on that one?
One quick question. There was like a...
I'm having issues as far as the webcast. they're having a hard time, they're not connecting in, so just to let you know.
Could be a weather thing.
There was I guess, a brief public notice period for that permit before it went to EPA, and I just wondered if any changes were made to the draft permit in response to comments.
There were some changes made in response to those comments. We didn't respond to those comments publicly since it wasn't the formal the formal public notice period. It was just to the stakeholders. And we did receive comments, and we made some changes.
Alrighty, next up is our stormwater construction general permit update, and Lily Martinez give us an update on it.
Hi, good afternoon. I'll be talking about the construction general permit, TXR 150000. It regulates stormwater discharges associated with construction activities. It was renewed on March 5th of this year. Updates for that permit include the last day for paper application submittal was on September 1st of this year. No more paper applications will be accepted. However, there's a paper applications are only available for those who have obtained electronic reporting waivers, which is granted in limited cases, which include the permittee's religious beliefs. The permittee has no internet service, which if they are in remote areas where there's no internet access, and if training is needed on e-permitting systems. This is the permitting. If training is needing that waiver is only temporary and it's only good for 1 year. Thank you.
Alrighty, up next is Rebecca Vialba. Give us updates on the multi-sector general permit as well as the John Graves general permit.
Okay, so first of all, on the multi-sector general permit, that regulates stormwater discharges from industrial activities for 30 sectors that we have. So the update for this is that the net DMR is available now. So one of the things that we had for a couple of years is that we offered or we issued automatic waiver from electronic reporting to all MSGP entities because EPA's system was not ready to accept our universe. But, we worked really hard, and the universe is now in EPA system ISIS. Just as other DMRs, Texas chose to use EPA's net DMR system. So any entities that need to submit their DMRs need to go to EPA's website, create an account through CDX, and then also, once you're in there, then you can go ahead and access the net DMR system to submit the DMRs. If an entity submits an application with us, through e-permits, it will be about a day or so before it's reflected in EPA system. So then at that point, then you can start creating your account and accessing the net DMR system to submit the required DMRs. So that's just something that we wanted to let everybody know because we had that waiver that expired August 31st. So now it's available. You can proceed to submit those electronically. Our web pages are updated, and so there's a really nice web page that is called, of course, it has our tcq.texas.gov, then /permitting/netdmr. And in there, it has several sections to figure out how to access and create your account, how to access NetDMR. It has videos that we are linking to EPA, so EPA has a lot of videos on this. So we do recommend that if you're new to that system to go access those videos, and if those videos don't answer your questions, then feel free to give us a call. But the NetDMR helpline is basically going to be our Office of Enforcement and Compliance. They're the ones that are handling those phone calls. Any questions on the MSGP? Okay. So moving on to the John Graves Scenic Riverway general permit, that is TXG 50,000. So right now we're currently in the renewal period. This general permit regulates stormwater discharges from quarry operations within the John Graves Scenic Riverway in Palo Pinto and Parker counties. So since the last update we met, we published in the newspapers August 24 to start the 30-day public notice. And then also we published in the Texas Register, but that was on August 31st. So the comment period ended on October 1st. We published in the Weatherford, Dallas, Fort Worth, and Mineral Wells newspapers. The 30-day comment period ended, and we received one comment, and so that was good, only one comment, and it was a good comment. It was in support of the general permit. So currently, we are on schedule to get this permit issued and renewed on April 7th of 2019. Any questions on the John Graves general permit? Okay, thank you.
All right, final general permit update. Hannah Nelson, the MS4 Phase 2 general permit.
Yeah, hi. So this is an update on the small MS4 general permit TXR 040,000, and this permit regulates stormwater discharges from municipal separate storm sewer systems located in urbanized areas. And the general permit expires December 13, 2018. And after we had completed the draft permit, we got an objection letter from EPA. We got that December 4th last year. And EPA comments were primarily requesting us to comply with the remand rule, specifically to require the state to review modifications to stormwater management programs during a permit term. We worked with EPA, and then we got the approval in July 31st, 2018. Then we published notice in 14 newspapers across the state, and in Texas Register we did that August 24. And then the public had 30 days to comment on the draft permit. And the public comment period ended with a public meeting that we had September 24. During the comment period, we received 11 comment letters, and all of those comments were combined to 33 combined comments. And the comments, they resulted in minor changes to the draft permit. We defined implementation plan. We clarified annual reporting for MS4s that are reporting based on their fiscal year. And then also we clarified that non-traditional MS4s, they can notify TCQ or their adjacent MS4 if they observe and they need to enforce for illicit discharges that originates outside their MS4 area. The agenda date is set for January 16, 2018. 19, sorry. Yeah, we're going forward, not backwards in time. And then the permit will be issued a little while after, maybe 1 to 2 weeks. So the permit will be delayed a little more than a month. So people, they'll keep operating under their existing permit until we issue the new one. Any questions on this general permit? Thank you.
All righty, we'll just keep rapidly moving along. Moving to the rules section of the agenda today. First up is Brian Serrant, an update on our Chapter 312 Biosolids Rule.
Yeah, we've been working on this rulemaking that we initiated. The agency has initiated just to clarify the intent of our requirements and remove some inconsistencies and improve readability. We did have a stakeholder meeting last October. Comments up until mid-December of last year. We've been working on it, been working with legal, working with our transporter section. We haven't had any updates since the last time we met here up until October 5th. We received a rule petition, and I'm just going to kind of summarize this for you. The petition was filed with the Commission on October 5th that requested that the Commission amend Chapter 312.3, which is the exclusion section of our rule, to allow a permittee to beneficially land apply sewage sludge that is processed with grease trap waste and/or domestic septage at a domestic wastewater treatment plant when those wastes are not determined to be more than 50% of the total amount of influence processed at that plant. And also when grit trap waste would not be determined to be more than 25% of that total amount of influent that's processed. The Commissioner also requested that that we amend 312.8, which is the definition section of our rule, to add the following definitions of domestic sludge, domestic wastewater, grease trap, and grease trap waste that would support the other rule amendment. Right now, we're currently working on our responses to the petition. We plan to attend the commission agenda on November 14th to provide our recommendations for this amendment, these rule amendments. And that's all I have on that for right now. Have any questions? Helen?
Do you have a preliminary response to the petition?
Do you have a-
Well, am I?
We just have to wait for the commissioners.
Yeah, we have to wait we have to wait till agenda.
Well, I'm not asking what the commissioners are going to rule. I'm asking what the executive director's position is.
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to state.
Yeah, I
that.
mean, I'll try to
Yeah.
jump in. I mean, the Biosolids program is no longer underneath me in wastewater permitting. But from a overall standpoint at this stage, there's a process to go through various levels of management briefings. Brian, I don't know how far you guys have gotten along, but typically that goes up to the Office of Water Deputy Director, then up to the ED's office that will make the ultimate decision on the ED's position. At this stage, I'm presuming we've developed some preliminary positions at the division level, but once again, those will have to go to the office and executive director to see if those folks support the preliminary positions that have been developed down in the water quality division. So I think it'd be premature to share those with the public at this stage. Is that fair enough? Is that pretty much where we're at? Okay.
I mean, one thing I can't say is we're working with legal on our response for it right now. And so we do have a very tight turnaround time on this. But that's what I could tell you as of right now.
All right, any follow-up questions on Biosolids Rule? All righty, moving on back to Lori Fleet, going to give us an update on the House Bill 2582 Aggregate Production Operations Exemption Rule.
Okay, the last session, the legislature passed House Bill 2582, amending the water code as it relates to aggregate production operations. That statute is 28A, and it requires aggregate production operations to register with the TCEQ. And so the House Bill 2582 added an exemption to the definition of aggregate production operations, and that exemption applies to a site at which specialty or terrazzo-type stone is removed or extracted from the earth, and the material is produced for commercial sale, used exclusively for decorative or artistic uses, and the horizon that's exposed for current production does not exceed 5 acres. So if an aggregate production operation or a quarry meets those criteria, then they would not be defined as an aggregate production operation and not be required to register. And so the current process, we are amending our rule to add that additional exemption. We are in the final stages of our draft development, and we are anticipating going to Commissioner's agenda for proposal, which is permission to publish that draft rule in the Texas Register. It is set on the December 12th Commissioner's agenda for their permission to publish notice. Are there any questions on the aggregate production operation rule? Okay, then I'll just move into my next topic as well. Another House bill, this one's 2031. It was a bill that was passed 2 sessions ago that required, it added an expedited process for marine seawater desalination projects. So if they're using water from the Gulf of Mexico to desalinate for various purposes, there's an expedited permitting process. And so we already completed the rulemaking to adopt that expedited permitting process. That's Chapter 318. However, the bill also required Texas Parks and Wildlife and the General Land Office to work together to develop discharge zones that they would recommend for these types of discharges. And they had until September 1st of this year to provide that recommendation. And the TCEQ received that report, that final report, on August 27th of this year. It is available on the Parks and Wildlife website. And so between the time that we adopted our rules and the time that we are having to come back to our rules, we're going to have to open our rules and adopt those discharge zones. So we'll be initiating a rulemaking here soon to adopt those discharge zones into our rules. We have until September? We have until 2020, September of 2020, to adopt rulemaking for those discharge zones. But those discharge zones and the maps are all available on the Parks and Wildlife website, if anybody wants to go read the report and look at those maps. From what I've been able to see of the maps, it looks like the majority of the areas are available for discharges. There's just some certain, it's more like there's a majority of it that's available for discharges and just certain areas that are excluded from the discharge zones. So it looks to be like there's a pretty good chunk of the real estate to discharge into. Any questions on that one?
Alrighty, final rule update, back to Rebecca Villalba, is on the Clean Water Act analytical methods update.
Okay, so the update is from the last time. This is regarding the 2017 method rule update that modified and added analytical methods to 40 CFR Part 136, which is applicable to the MPDS program, therefore applicable to the TPDS permit requirements. The rule was effective August of last year. However, states have the ability to develop their own implementation schedule of when it's going to be implemented within their state. And the first thing that we needed to do, we created an internal work group, but the first thing that we needed to do is to work with our laboratory accreditation staff to offer the fields of accreditation for those new methods, for those new analytes, for the non-potable matrix, which is for wastewater, stormwater, and all that comes into. And so the memo that we sent to laboratory accreditation group was last month, and just effective Friday, if you are part of the Gov delivery and you were signed up for the laboratory updates, you probably received an email saying that the revisions to fields of accreditations are not available. So the changes to the fields of accreditation are going to be effective April 12th of next year. So as of that date, the laboratories submitting data analyzed by these methods need to be accredited or have the risk of having their data refused by TCEQ. And the methods are 608.3, 624.1, and 625.1. And so the email, as well as on our website, in the laboratory accreditation website, there's an Appendix A that lists the method and all the pollutants that are now offered as fields accreditation under those three methods. So TCEQ, Water Quality Division, will accept analytical data from accredited and in-house laboratories based on the previous 2012 method update rule up to but not beyond August 28th of next year. We will accept analytical data from non-accredited and in-house laboratories using the new laboratory methods under the 2017 method update rule within 6 months after the fields of accreditation effective date, which is April of next year. Or if the laboratory has accreditation for the pollutant and new method in a state other than Texas. If you want to apply to receive accreditation, then the laboratory must submit an amended application, the applicable field of accreditation sheets, a $250 administrative fee, and then this associated documentation that includes standard operating procedures, demonstrations of capability and method detection limit studies, as well as the applicable proficiency test results for all parameters being added. However, the administration fee of $250 is not applicable if you're doing this in conjunction with your laboratory's annual renewal. So again, Method 608.3, 624.1, 625.1, you can go ahead and submit applications to get accreditation for those methods. And like I said, if you are not part of the email group for receiving notifications, I suggest you go to our laboratory accreditation webpage. You sign up for that, but right now the web pages are updated to include all that information that you need. And so the next step for us, now that we have that, is for the internal work group within the agency to figure out the implementation of when we're going to revise the applications to require this, as well as the permit language that we're going to have. And at that point, we will go through our management to get approval of that implementation plan. And before we go to EPA, we will have an external work group meeting. And so as we've said before, please email at the same email that you get for these notifications, outreach@tcq.texas.gov. The subject line include method update rule stakeholder group, and you'll be added to stakeholder group. So we envision maybe in a couple of months we'll have stakeholder meeting, where we will present our implementation plan to get feedback. Again, we would like as much as we can, good representation with laboratories, regulated community consultants in that work group, so that then we can move forward with our plan to present it to EPA for their approval. Any questions on that? Thank you.
All right, Nancy, anything from the webcast as far as questions, or did it ever get running? Never did. Okay, unfortunate. Okay, fair enough, folks. That was the agenda we had planned for you this afternoon. Got through it pretty rapidly. So if there's any other general questions from the audience, I'd be happy to take those. Wanted to make sure you're aware the next advisory work group meeting of this group is January 15th, 2019. Same room, same time. If you've got suggested topics that you'd like to see covered for that next work group meeting, love to hear from you. I think, as Rebecca already mentioned, the outreach website that you can certainly access at any point in time and request certain topics to be presented at the next advisory work group meeting. So is there any other general questions not related to the topics we covered here today? That I'm happy to answer those or attempt to. All right, seeing none, we will call this meeting adjourned. Stay dry and stay safe on your way back to the office or home. Thank you.